we slavishly continue to honor it and to speak of it as if there are no alternatives. Britain itself has no written constitution. So are you telling me that they can't change their own rules by consensus, by going to the people and deciding what it is that needs to be done? Whether you want to call it a referendum or a public consultation, it does not matter. We are a practicing democracy, so we say. So why do we need to be bound by the specifics of something that was laid down by persons who do not have our best interest at heart? I'm asking it because while we talk about the rule of law does not exist before the law. Let me say that again because it is a kind of logical gymnastics that you need to work on. For persons who are of, I was going to say the Christian faith, but let's leave that out for the moment. Persons who are spiritual and who understand that a human being has these different elements to their identity. You have a physical body, you have a mind that works in the invisible realm, you have a spirit that is a connector between the mind and the body, and a spirit that can be very active while the body is asleep or while the mind is lying quiet. Let's put it that way. So we know we have these different parts to us. It means then that when we set about to do things, we are activating one or the other part of our identity. So it is with laws and documents. They have a spiritual side to them, meaning the intent and the desire and the hope that people invest in the laws that they set, that they create to guide them in their activity. And then they have a practical side to it, meaning the steps that you take in order to give effect to the law. But the spirit of the law comes before the actual practical side of the law. You have to know what it is that you intend to do before you actually do it. If you believe in the rule of law, what you really believe in is that it is beneficial and ideal for you to give effect to the intent behind the laws that you create. We did not create the Constitution. The only part of it that we can really claim authorship of is the fundamental rights and freedoms. And about all we can do is claim authorship of it because those rights and freedoms themselves are inalienable from our existence. Meaning, if we exist and have the ability to speak, we have the freedom to speak. And all that the fundamental rights and freedoms do is acknowledge them, so that you don't have to get up every day and fight a man for the right to speak. It's acknowledged that you have this right. How you defend it, how you practice it, then become the subject of rules and regulations that the society will introduce. But it's been acknowledged universally that a man's freedom to speak is sacred. And your freedom to speak exists whether you have the actual ability to speak, meaning you're not mute. Or you can be mute, but the freedom remains. And the ways that you can enjoy that freedom will vary depending on your ability, your economic and social standing sometimes, because a man can speak and it goes unnoticed simply because of who he is, but he has that freedom to speak. So the only thing which we can claim actual authorship of is this document, which all it does really is recognize some rights that cannot be denied. The rest of it, the rest of the Constitution is not ours. If we continue to be bound by it, we're under a spell. That is my conclusion and summation of it. And every time I see or I hear an educated person expressing opinions concerning that piece of the Constitution that we desperately need to change, and every time we are insisting that we can only do it in a particular way, it just distresses me and bothers me that after all this time, we still don't understand that the freedom that we have to determine our own future means that we can choose the manner by which we change our constitution, regardless of what is written in it. It is our right to determine our own future. And we should not be put off by technical steps created by someone else who was not doing it for our protection. When the Queen says a bill to amend the Constitution must be tabled in Parliament and sit there for 3 months, what do you think will happen in those 3 months? To every person who opposes her rule, or to every person who wants something contrary to be done, it gives people time to build up resistance. It's not to build up consensus, it is to build up resistance. Because the moment you get to the point of tabling a bill, you have arrived at some degree of consensus. So the time is only to build up resistance. Do we want that? And then now to the matter of those who are insisting that it be done in a particular way, and those who are calling on others to do it in a particular way. And by this, I am actually referring to the Gleaner editorial, chastising Miss Malahoo Fort, chastising the government of Jamaica for not having done this or that in relation to leading a public consultation. The Gleaner can lead a public consultation. The Morning Connection, one small show on a radio station that is somewhere in the middle of a sea of other radio stations, has expressed and begun the process of consulting with the people of Jamaica on what they want to see in their new constitution. We did it for the whistleblower legislation. We did it for the Integrity Commissions Act. Welcome, Pastor Percival.
You sound welcome like I was.
No, I already announced that you were soon to join me.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Yeah.
So the producer is also an engineer, but he's more like engineering training on these equipment. So
I learn nothing.
yes, I've been doing a monologue.
He's learning nothing, but good morning. Good morning. To those of us who were waiting patiently for us to come. I know somebody like Tarrant start calling it. I said, what's happening here?
Well,
but
I don't know if
he's
will call.
Yeah, but today is a day of celebration, and as you speak about public consultation and people on the ground, a similar station has a program, you mentioned it, calling it Boots on the Ground. And what they are saying is we have to have boots on the ground in terms of getting into communities, engaging people, and so on. And today, I just want to celebrate with TBC station. We're celebrating 24 years of operation, and it started as a simple community station and has widened its outreach at the length and breadth of Jamaica. So we say congratulations to TBC and to the staff over there, the persons who are doing things, pushing, saying we can change this country because it belongs to us. So congratulations to you. 24 years is a long time.
I know. My niece is almost 25, and she's fully grown. So 24 is a whole lot
and they say for most persons, especially for males, that the full development of your brain is complete at about 25 years, and so there are a lot of things that speak to that in terms of the use of other stuff that delays or slows the optimum development of your brain. So, as I was saying to you, I just sharing something yesterday. What somebody said to me.
Before you share that, let's just say hello to Conrad, because you're right. Conrad said he was just about to call because he was wondering how the show can start.
Yes, so we know, man. Big up to Conrad, our international correspondent. I really admire Conrad, I really do
I'm
admire.
looking forward to meeting him. I hope he knows that.
Yeah, Conrad, when you come to Jamaica, we're going to have to bring in studio, like Righteousness visited us last week and said hello, yeah, but a lot of things are,
Anyway, I did not mean to distract you. You wanted to talk about the children?
yeah, the young people, the impact of the pandemic on especially the children. I was in a visiting with an office yesterday that I have close association with, and the lady was just relating stories that they were seeing an increase in a population of people who came to them for service, and they have been referred by their doctors and so on to find out what was happening. Um, and it was because they were having speech delay development, and they checked them, they were okay, but the whole thing of socialization and helping our children in terms of development, in terms of play and interaction, is a very crucial thing. And I don't think we have begun to see how much this has impacted our children, especially in the educational system, especially in terms of their development, not being able to interact with their peers and just have fun and so on. You remember growing up, stop playing, you play too much. And now they're telling us that play is part of the development program of our young people in terms of learning to interact and to socialize and all the other things that come with play. I just wanted to relate that, you know?
I remember that you don't have the you don't have the station in your car.
Yes, yes, because
Right.
yeah,
So you weren't listening to all of my chatter coming in.
no, when I came in as a busted. What's
So
busted?
I'm gonna ask you a question because the president of Rwanda is to visit us shortly.
Yes.
Well, I
With the
mean,
genocide.
yes. No, the genocide was 1994 and before his time
Yeah,
in
but
office.
and
He's the successor
yeah,
after that awful period in their history. Have you given any thought to why that particular African leader is visiting Jamaica? I'll tell you
it's
why.
not
I
because he's the
asked.
president. He's the incoming chair of the Commonwealth. Yeah, and that's where the
Yes,
next meet
but
is going to be held.
yes, but why him visiting our prime minister?
I don't know.
I'm being facetious. It's because he abolished term limits when he took office after the 94 genocide had the dust had settled. He abolished term
But you
limits.
staff term
He
limits.
has been he has been president since 2000.
Okay.
He has brought great change to Rwanda, undoubtedly,
Yeah.
and he has been returned to office 3 times, and could likely remain in office until
He dies
2034. No,
until he
not
dies.
until he dies. Until 2034. I don't know. That's the date. I don't think that's the date of his death. But I wonder if our prime minister has empire building on his mind.
Empire building. Most leaders do. It is.
Talk to me.
Let me tell you. Um, I'm just sharing out of a personal experience I've had in terms of leading.
You
I
had empire on your mind?
No,
Oh.
my father don't allow them things. My father is into seasons and times, and when you understand that, you move.
And he's into preparation and equipping
That's
successors.
right. Because why I said that, I remember when I became the president of PTA, been involved in PTA because I believe in activism. I believe with all of my heart that the chief stakeholder in any school system is a student and the parent. And so they must have a voice in terms of whatever policies that are put in place in a school. But anyway, fast forward. So when I became president of this PTA, I noticed that the person that was before me, like not immediately, like before somebody I knew, he had been president for like from his son was in grade 8 until his son left in sixth form, and I said, "This is
So
crazy."
you mean he was president even after he had no child at the school?
When I know of a situation like that, but I leave that alone. And it doesn't allow for that because you, in terms of the constitution, you You must be a parent or the legal guardian
Of a child currently in
in the school.
school.
Yeah. So some people are like, hey, it's a good person. I said, but can't work. So you know what I did? I said to my executive and I said to the PTA, we've got to change the constitution. Put constitutional limits on how long a person can serve as president. So we say 2 years, and if they're gonna serve for a third consecutive term, it must be by overwhelming consensus, the PT. And after that, you're out. Because you see, there must be the place for the renewal of ideas for what happens when you're there for like people become all right, and you can't bring about real change. But you see, when you get power and power sweet you, oh jeez, man. And you think about all of the things that you can do and you should do, and
Yes,
if
and
you
you
weren't
have the good of the people
people at
in
heart,
heart, and they love
you
me. See how they
yes,
love me.
man. Yeah, it is so. You know what? Some people have contended that in order to be a leader of any ilk, you have to have a bit of
Narcissism.
narcissism in you. And I say, okay, all right. But
I dare say it helps, but then
it
others
helps.
like us now would say you have to be reflecting that the virtue of humility, such that you never see yourself as being more than a servant of the people.
But that's the crucial thing,
Yeah.
you know. You come to serve, and the word of God says, he who wants to lead must be chief, must be the servant of the people. And when you're serving people, what happens is that you know at some point in time you have to make way for somebody else because you are really wanting to serve. So
So I have a concern that our prime minister has empire on his mind. I think he's fascinated by a man who has remained in power for 22 years, beloved by his people, and making great strides. One article calls what he has done to Rwanda the Singaporeization of Rwanda.
yeah, I've seen,
It's
I've
now
read
a
that.
term.
I read that because yeah, you
It's now
need.
a term. And I think I don't doubt that the prime minister would like to see Jamaica be farther along than where we are now. And I think he definitely would like to be responsible for it. So I suspect he's curious about a man who has accomplished it. And so, but Mr. Prime Minister, I would say you should take empire off your mind.
Oh, you're encouraging him.
No, I'm not encouraging him. He should take it off his mind.
You're
Not a good thing.
oh,
It's not a good thing for the individual, much less for the country. Countries should not become lazy and so dependent on the personality
one
of the
person.
leader that, they can't think for themselves and move in a way. We must be prepared to look at options, and as you say, we need to have fresh ideas and new thinking always coming to the fore.
Because if you, in your thinking as a leader, set a platform for real change, and the people understand that what you're saying is about them and real change, and you don't have to be there for life because over time it would have become a part of the DNA of the country, and so they can move forward and you continue to build. You are working off a vision of change, a vision of empowerment, and if your people embrace that, you don't have to be there.
Agreed, sir.
Yeah, so, and one of the things I did, we put it in the constitution. Then sure, the term limits, we moved the motion and put it in the constitution that you can't serve for more than 2 terms consecutive. And if you're gonna serve a third term, you have to
to
go
wait
back to
out.
the people, and then that's it. If you are still in the school, then you can come back. But
Right.
yeah, you can't serve consecutively, and we have to be doing that.
So that's actually one way to do it as well. To just break the term limit can be based on the consecutive, that phraseology that you just mentioned. The other thing I said, which I would love for you to weigh in on, I spoke about the spell, the incantation that is embedded in a constitution or in any document that makes it difficult for you to change it or to escape its reach. But forget that part. What really puzzled me, and I posed a question on it, is why would we remain bound by a mechanism that was put in a document, not of our own authorship, but a document imposed on us by the very people who had oppressed us, saying, this is what you need to do to change what I have given you? Why would we continue to be bound by that? And this, to the specific point is this: the method for changing the Constitution given to us by the Queen is an elaborate one which involves laying your amendments in Parliament for 3 months before it can be debated. My
There's
point,
good and bad. There's
my
con-
point
there's
is
pro and
that
cons to it.
those 3 months are not to build consensus, because it's consensus why you get it on the table in the first place. Those 3 months are to build resistance.
That's
And
what you are.
that is my yes,
That's your
because
thoughts.
because if we've got to the point where a bill has been drafted and is ready for discussion, when you let it sit for 3 months, it's really so for people to decide against it. It's not for people to
Or
decide,
decide
for,
for
it.
it.
No, if you're gonna decide for it, you move right into the conversation. You don't let it sit for 3 months
Okay, let me see.
to see if you
I'm
change your mind.
Let me see if I'm understanding the process. So you build a bill, you bring a bill to Parliament that the government, working on behalf of the people, have said to the constitutional the draftsperson, do this bill for us. That's how you get there.
Okay, let's go with that.
All right. So having come to the point at which you have drafted the bill, you put it on the table. You're saying then they let it sit for 3 more months?
Before it can be debated, yes.
So what about parliamentary, what do you call it? They have a name for it, like
Describe
joint
it.
select committee.
We're not going anywhere near there yet. It
You not
has
reach
to,
us yet?
No, it has to sit for 3 months before it's
Are
debated.
you serious?
So I say that when you say something needs to sit for 3 months, that is a spell to build up resistance. That is not to build consensus.
But having looked at the what has happened in the past, bills like that have sat for 3 months and people have thought about it, has it caused the bill to become better?
That's
or-
the only thing that needs to sit for 3 months. You seen us debating things overnight when the Road
Oh,
Traffic
yeah,
Act was
yeah,
being
that-
amended?
I was
Not
pushed
even
through.
overnight.
I don't.
Go in the morning and by the afternoon
Yeah,
it is
said we
being
don't really
debated.
need to
No,
sit.
the only thing
If
that
we ca-
requires
no,
that
so-
particular sequence of that ritual is reserved for a change to the Constitution.
Yeah,
It's
what
a
is-
spell. Why you don't
change
just-
to the constitution? So I'm just trying to understand. So a change, if you're gonna change a constitution, it have to sit for 3 months. If you're gonna do other bills, it can just go overnight. Is that what you're saying?
All right, you're also spellbound.
Oh, Jesus. I'm trying to
I've
understand and
lost you.
clarify. No.
The point is not about how you change the Constitution. The point I'm trying to focus your mind on, as I was doing for the listeners, is a document has been given to you by a third party which deals with how you govern your affairs. It's not your document, it was given to you. Why do you feel that in order for you to change it, you need to obey what that third party said? That's the issue.
That's the issue you're talking about.
Yes.
I thought I was looking at the procedure.
I know.
Yeah,
So I want to distract you from the procedure, because it is that distraction of the procedure that has kept us hidebound for decades. Because they're debating, should we go to referendum? Can we do it by this way? Why are we even limiting ourselves to that?
So okay.
The
I understand.
one attractive thing about President Trump, the one attractive thing to me, was his boldness in not being bound by what other people were doing before him. He was not bound by precedent.
I must clean this one. He must clean out the swamp.
Yes, well, he didn't actually do that, but that's what he wanted to
But
do.
those in the
But
swamp
when
worked
you look
against
at
him.
when you look at how he approached things, it's like, I want to go left. Oh, but Mr. President, everybody has gone right since the first president stepped out of the plane. I'm going left.
Then you need that, what you call the word.
Shameless audacity.
So no, I'm okay.
You're
So
with me
let me.
now. That's the point. Because that very thing that was happening to you is what has been happening to everyone else. The Gleaner editorial of yesterday went through that whole quagmire of who needs what and who is agreed on, how the president and so on. Why are we even doing that? We, the people of Jamaica, decide that we
And
want to
this-
go in this direction.
and the leaders must be bold enough to say, let's do
Let
that.
us, absolutely. Who's with me? The only thing you don't want to do, because you don't want to become a Rwanda in of the genocide days. Although some are saying that that genocide was so shocking to the system that it created
Place
the
for
the
change.
lift
For change.
for them to soar.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's like that, but you could get caught in a Haiti moment when instead of soaring, you're pushing against headwinds that are tearing up your people. Remember we did lift?
I remember. No.
Right. So the adversities can be so great that you position yourself to rise above it, and the force of the adversities cause you to soar, because the Hutus and the Tutsis had to find and make peace, and that came before the
Reconciliation.
growth.
Yeah. It had to. Yeah. The reconciliation.
The
had to take
reconciliation
time.
occurred before the growth. It's not that it was incremental. I mean, I'm
was so
sure elements
shocking.
of it. It was so shocking to have killed.
them say
They are
no.
estimating between 500,000 to a million. That's
But-
like, let's
It's
say
a world
about
war.
1 million people were killed by one. Just like what Jamaicans are doing, killing off one another little by little. There will come a day when they're going to say, Jamaica once had, no, they'll say Jamaica could have had 6 million people, but 2 million of them were killed between road accident and
And all of these,
homicidal
yeah.
violence. We've lost a number of our own citizens through our misbehavior. That day will come. But that is like death by 1,000 cuts. The Rwandans went hardcore.
Not dead by 1,000 cuts.
In-
like this. It was. Theirs
That's
was
what
dead
we're
by,
doing in 100 days.
Just, and you have some
There was a
stories
rage.
of
Oh, horrible, horrible. Neighbor against neighbor. It you can only imagine
and
how
what
bad that
stroked
got.
it? You know what stroked it? The then person in charge dog whistled to the people, and they just went ballistic.
Yeah. Rage.
Just ballistic.
Oh, the devil had a field day with that one.
The amount of innocent blood.
That just
They have
that
repented
spilled. They
and
have repented.
But
And they've repented under the leadership of obviously a phenomenal man
who understood.
Yes. But you
And
know,
you have to be careful,
yeah.
because when you haven't done so much good, you become egocentric and forget that's not about me. It
And
is
then
about the people.
then it turns.
And then the legacy that you would have done by leaving early, it's coming like Ezekiah. Ezekiah
Shoot himself in the foot.
he never shoot
But-
himself.
He didn't shoot himself in the foot.
But he did that to himself.
Yes, pride came over him at a
And he
late
decided
stage.
and him said, look
Look at all this.
at what I have.
Yeah, so Hezekiah is the king that showed off all the jewels of his
Babylonians.
to the Babylonians,
And them say,
and
"What?"
the Babylonians came and took it. Said, that man have too much,
Yes.
but left himself open by showing off.
Yeah. So just to have a right concept of self in relation to who God is. Stay humble. Stay humble. And that is something, humility is something that runs across all levels, from the youngster who is doing well and think it's him, or to
Yes,
the adult,
yeah.
everybody, humility.
To the prime
Prime
minister
Minister.
who is young and fit and handsome and believe that will carry him into empire building. I'm just saying, I want my prime minister to take empire building off his mind.
Yeah.
If he's not acknowledging publicly or to himself that that's what's going on, those who have eyes to see and ears to hear recognize it, and I am issuing a timely warning. Take it off your mind. It is not right for you as an individual. It is not right for your country, a country that desperately needs individuals to be empowered to fight for their own survival. We don't want it as a gift from the Prime Minister.
No, sir.
We don't want any handouts from Mr. Nigel Clark. Do not give me no electricity bailout. Take the tax off of the electricity so that
Do
the
the right
cost of
thing.
electricity could be 40% less.
Do the right thing.
Can you imagine if they just remove the taxes for a bit? Because we are paying GCT on everything else that is produced using energy.
That's a
Energy could be zero rated.
yeah. And you could do that, and in an instant,
See things soar.
yeah.
See your own popularity soar
Yeah.
if that is what you want to accomplish.
Yeah.
But I digress. I was drawing your attention to that peculiarity of independent persons, free persons, being bound by another man's word, a man whom you know did not have your best interests at heart. A man who enslaved you and was only forced to release you when the forces of nature and good conscience had forced their hand.
Yeah.
And they leave you with a document and say, run with this. And you, 60 years later, still fiddling with that document and saying, well, the document said we can't change it unless we do this. Really?
In one fell swoop, you can change it.
Can change it.
Yeah, because you can. Other countries have done it.
The most important thing about changing our constitution is getting the people involved in the process. That's the most important thing, you know. It's not using the science or the incantations that's in the document. It is getting your people involved. And honestly, Jamaicans, we do not need the government to get us talking about what we want to see in our constitution. The Gleaner has something, what do they call it? The Editors Forum. There's a thing they do where they invite people to come to a meeting, and I've forgotten what it is. They talk about it,
Forum,
yes.
yeah, about issues. So churches can become involved.
They invite like business leaders and so on. So for me to see the Gleaner writing a very lecturing editorial calling on the government to start the process for public consultation, it is like a joke. The Gleaner is the largest communication business in this country.
Network. RGR, Gleaner, RGR.
If they decided to run a poll, let's say they decided to commission a poll and they can afford it. If they decide to commission a poll on how Jamaicans feel about this, that, or the other in the Constitution, it is done.
And all well-thinking Jamaicans, I'm throwing out
The challenge.
the challenge. All we can say, Mr. Anderson, this is what we want. Can you run a poll? How much it going to cost us to do it?
Maybe we should start a GoFundMe page.
to do no, it's not a joke. I'm serious. A lot of people are hearing us. If we really feel this strong about the need for constitutional reform, as Jamaicans, well-thinking Jamaicans, with the trust that we are setting up.
You see how I'm looking at you with great love?
Because no, we can do it under the
Because you are being shamelessly audacious.
No, man. And to say to people, call Don Anderson and say, if you want to do a poll in terms of what
Jamaicans want to see in their constitution on this, that, or the other.
It can be done.
Of course it can be done. It's just the cost of paying for it.
Yeah. And I'm challenging well-thinking Jamaicans. If you are so serious about the changes that need to happen in our country, which has to happen through the vehicle of our constitution.
Oh, Percival. All right. I'm accepting the challenge. And I think Conrad has too.
Yeah.
He just sent me something. Well, hear what? We know Don Anderson very well. Why don't we ask him?
Yeah, why do you do? Yes, right.
And then why don't we raise some money to do it?
Yeah. I said, do this.
Morning Connection.
Yeah, doing things that bring
yes.
about change.
And it can happily be the Morning Connection in association with, put your name in the spot.
Present a poll on real constitutional reform. What it is that we want as Jamaicans.
And we structure the different issues that we want persons to answer on.
Mm-hmm. And that becomes the basis for doing a poll. And we said,
I knew there was a reason you're beside me. Mr. Palmer, big things. Yes, because you know that it's a part of our agenda to do a public consultation, and we've begun to do it.
Yeah, because we did it with the whistleblower and people responded.
The Integrity Commission Act, and we've submitted it, and the only reason I've not made a noise about it yet because they've not convened any committee to begin the process of looking at the responses. But yes, let me make it known, we are going to follow up on our responses because we didn't send it in so it could be tossed in bin 13, otherwise known as the garbage bin, nor did we send it in just so that someone could say we asked for comments and we got 10 comments or whatever. It's not statistical. It is meant to be impactful. Look at it and tell us you don't agree. But for God's sake, don't believe you're going to get away with not looking at it. Make that clear. One of the things why I emphasize the people developing a right understanding of their personal rights and freedoms is because that is what gives you the confidence to push. It is what gives you the confidence to keep knocking on a door because you have a right to be heard.
And it is given to you by God.
Absolutely. It's not given to you by the Constitution. Let me make that clear. What the Constitution does is acknowledge it. And it's good that it acknowledge it. But you know what? If you don't acknowledge my right, that don't mean it don't exist. I will fight you for it anyway. So it's best you know why we're fighting. So you can, educate yourself on people's rights. So when a man challenges you, you know why he's challenging you. You know that is at the heart of much of the violence. People are getting into disputes about breach of rights without an understanding one to another of what right has been breached. I feel that you have breached my right of privacy because you encroach on my space. You think I have breached your rights to property.
And then
I'm fighting for my privacy. You're fighting for property. Never shall the twain meet because we are on two different tracks. And before you know it, somebody who has might introduces violence and the issue is not resolved because death is not a resolution of an issue.
No, because the issue is still
The
there.
issue is still there. And then it moves now into an intergenerational force where you kill the man's son and somebody grow up and come kill your child. And it continues until nobody remembers how it started.
How it started initially. Yeah, that is why we need to deal with it at source immediately.
Absolutely.
I was talking to one of my parishioners at church, and she says, boy. So she's over by one of the KFC, and the gentleman in question is saying to her, "Oh, you take so long. Look how much other people come and pass me." So she turned to him and said, "You must come over here, come
come do something about it."
Him say what? And him jump over the counter, He jumps over the counter because you diss the man, disrespect him. And it started, and then the security.
You mean a fight started?
Yes. So the security was in the building, come and chuck him out and throw him out on the ground. So she intervened. This is how she intervened. She said, all right. Me know same this is a woman.
Yeah.
But he says, and this is what caused a lot of things. He goes immediately on his phone and said, "May I make 2 calls and I go see?" And she said, you have to grab the phone from him and say, no. Calm down. Powerful woman to bring it down. Because even with all of that, because I know.
If another man did touch him, another fight would break out.
Yeah, but I know that if he made that call, there would have been bloodshed.
It would have escalated into something truly ugly.
Yeah. So, and I remember last year related to what happened when I was down by serving as security. Remember that incident?
Yes.
And you did that too in terms of the 2 men who were fighting. Some of the times you speak about intergenerational violence. Some of the times you do something and you don't even know who the person is. And they make one call.
Take your picture and make a phone call.
And that's it for you.
It follows
Lights
you home.
Out.
Yeah, follows you home, affect your children, change the path of everybody, sometimes for generations. So a lot of times we are in disputes about competing rights without a proper awareness of what those rights are. For example, you may get upset with a citizen because you feel that they caused offense. But when you examine it closely, you didn't have an entitlement to whatever treatment you were anticipating. You were unreasonable in your expectations. You misunderstood the extent of your own rights. And you fall into error and it creates conflict. So it is necessary for persons to understand what their fundamental rights are. What are the rights which are non negotiable, which no man should touch? But you also need to understand the need for peace. So you can, in the exercise of your rights, allow someone else clear passage simply so that peace can be maintained. It looks like we might get a break.
Whatever lies in you, live at peace with all men. So we go into the break. I want to comment on this.
Yes, that's why I opened it up too.
I want to comment.
Do we have time to comment on one thing before we go into the break? Go ahead, Pastor.
Yeah, we will be bringing down entire networks. Mr. Prime Minister, it is in your power. It has always been in your power. Why?
But when we come back after the break, because we need to take it now, and this requires a lot more than the one question you have posed or the position you have posed. This we're referring to is the headline of something in yesterday's Gleaner, an article in yesterday's Gleaner, where the Prime Minister says, we will be bringing down entire networks. Wholeness talks tough, says government targeting main players in illegal gun trade. Of course, you know, this show above all else. The engineer says break. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. This is the Morning Connection.
Looking to clean your vehicle super clean? 123 Clean Car Wash, located at 2 1/4 Osborne Road, Kingston 10. Entrance on Grove Road, below Tropical Battery. They wash and vacuum, undercarriage wash, engine wash, polish and compound, shampoo and detailing. Call them at 876-631-3400. 123 Clean Car Wash, the best in the business for a cleaner wash.
1, 2, 3, believe me, it's so easy. 1, 2, 3.
Half a tree, one and drive, half a tree. Bossy, how you do I take taxi star?
Chano, I want to tell you, say, 2 months now, my transmission mash up, you know, and I check everybody and can't hear nothing positive.
You hear me? You waste all that time I shop around and never call the experts. Winters Auto have them. Them have over 35 years of experience and them diagnose the problem and get back your transmission brand new. For them service excellent and efficient. Trust me, man. You hear me? Call them at 929-7040 or go to them at 106 Maxfield Avenue, Kingston 13 and talk directly to the boss. Just tell them I'm me, send you.
You big star. Yeah, man, respect my boss.
I try calling you, cause trust me.
Waiters Auto Spares and Repairs, good afternoon.
What a relief.
For a better choice in all your electrical supplies, A, authorized 3M dealer and better brand names. B, better service including free island-wide delivery. C, all major credit and debit cards accepted. It's ABC Electrical Sales. Shop number 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10. Open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We make your electrical jobs as easy as ABC. Call 754-382-528 or fax 754-3659. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice.
Goodness mercy, it's me again, Lord, your restorer, your game changer. Join me every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. and Best FM 100. It's Apostle Clive Campbell, a.k.a. the Khaki Suit Man, coming to you from 8 to 12 Aaron Street, also Richmond District, Mandeville. Embrace the change.
Hey, say, let not your hearts be troubled. Just believe in God Almighty and daily renew the mind. As we live in this time when fake is more valued than real, lies prefer to truth, the unnatural put above the natural. This is Lady Donna, aka Double D Donna, with a new song, Almighty Jah, encouraging your people to keep the faith that God will make a way. Get your copy today. It's on all digital platforms. Lady Donna Official on Instagram, Facebook, AsujaRecords.com. For bookings, Asuja Record Label at Gmail. Almighty Jah!
Vegam Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Hagley Park Road. Vegam Printers, your best choice in printing.
You're sampling the best.
Channel. Good morning and welcome back.
Simply the best, better than all the rest, raising the issues that need to be spoken of, but not only raising the issues, providing solutions that indeed we can change course and change the way that we're going. Because under God, the intention is that all of us, not only some of us, not 5%, but all 100% of persons who live in Jamaica can live a decent life and can flourish. Yeah. So we'll be bringing down entire networks.
All right. This is of great interest to me because the Prime Minister is speaking about the illegal gun trade. Many persons have long been saying that focusing on the gunman, who is at the end of the line, is hardly the right strategy. You need to go above him and above him until you get to those who are funding and facilitating that trade. I mean, we can take a page from the Americans' playbook. They go to the financier of the financier, and they will even go to the manufacturers to say, have an interest in where your product is going. Institute ways of ensuring that you can, to some extent, track it or assist law enforcement in tracking what happens with the products that you make. That's not at all unusual. In some industries, it is essential. Those who are doing modern day commerce with multinational companies, like even Total, if you're a Total dealer, you are required to sign a document in the agreement they give you. You must commit to not allowing, not trading or having commercial relationships with countries or businesses that run afoul of certain laws, that corruption laws, bribery, and so on. And they also address.
Total is a French company.
Yes.
Isn't it?
So yes, it is. It's.
Hey! Help me, Papa Jesus.
All right. All right. We got to get over that. Yes, they set very high standards that apply outside of their country for their companies. But it was interesting to see them including in their licenses for the gas station operators in Jamaica that requirement to abide by certain international laws and principles of law, like no bribery and certain, corrupt practices. Don't do business with people or countries that are connected to human trafficking, certain types of human rights abuses. Those are now parts of multinational contractual
Like
arrangements.
with climate change and all of them stuff.
And yeah,
right?
well, like they are on a path to go green, and you see them actively bringing that into
Go green.
play.
They're going green up Jamaica.
They yes. Don't let the PNP people think it means there'll be no orange. But the point I'm making is that it's long been a strategy all over the world to address certain types of illegality by going beyond or above the actual offender.
That's how they
that
brought
you
down
catch on
Al
the street.
Capone.
Yes, yes, that's
Racketeering.
how many people do you think remember who he is or know who he is?
But the same. It's hello. Nothing is new underneath the sun,
That is true. So
Yeah,
we
that-
talk about the principle.
The principle,
And-
yes.
Right. So our Prime Minister coming to the realization and making statements about it that they're gonna go deep and start to attack the big interests, the moneyed interests that are behind the gun trade, but not just gun trade, crime and violence. Crime and violence is not financed by the little man down the bottom. Above every don sits somebody who is enabling and facilitating.
It's a ton of dons.
They've attacked lawyers and say lawyers are part of the enabling fraternity. I've been long waiting for them to address bankers. Long been waiting for them to address
Do
bankers.
you remember before the election, there was a big hullabaloo about the sale of some UDC properties. You remember that?
And- yes.
And then on WhatsApp, man, you got the full details of all of the transactions. And it was the bank.
All money,
Banks who
precisely. And this
facilitated it.
is hard currency, so it's not moving in bags. It's moving electronically. Most of it.
No,
Some
might
of
be
it, I
moving
guess, move in
moving
bags. But the real money move electronically. So our prime minister says, we know the people, which is what many Jamaicans had been saying. Uno know who doing it. They know the persons. They're like a handful of Jamaicans with the financial capability to do certain things. And we know who they are. So our prime minister says, we know the people who are doing it, but we are not going to go after one little person. Our strategy is to take down networks. When we act, we will be bringing down entire networks. And you would also notice that we have a strategy of taking the profit out of crime, he said. The illegal trade in guns and ammunition has been a long-standing challenge for the security forces, with the gun being the main weapon of choice for criminals, as the island recorded 1,463 murders last year. 1,463 murders last year. Guns have also played a major role in the nearly 400 murders so far this year. That's what I mean by death by 1,000 cuts. We're decimating the population one strike at a time. But according to Holness, his administration has devised a strategy to stem the flow by targeting the main players instead of the man on the street. That's not who we really want. We want to get the customs officer that is facilitating the guns coming through the port, Holness declared. That is still a small fish. We want to get the man that works in the bank that is allowing the currency to be transferred either into the country or out of the country. We want to get the policemen who are tipping people off, he added. You know, all of that is still
Small fish.
Still small fish. Those are the people who are, those are the workers. What
Those
you
are the
want
foot
is the queen
soldiers.
bee. Those are the worker bees. You want the queen bee.
You want the foot soldier. Then gone after the foot soldier. I need to go after the general. You know, he's being prophetic, you know.
Who?
Prime Minister.
Yes.
We'll bring down entire networks. Look in the mirror.
Yep.
Look in the mirror.
Well, perhaps the Rwandan president will teach him how to build empire. But to this point of the banks, it has always been a concern for me. I saw, you remember what happened with Alliance? They were in the media front page no more than a few months ago.
But even after that,
Alliance was never a commercial bank, meaning Alliance could not initiate and complete international wire transfers. Like every other customer of a commercial bank, they had to move their funds through other banks. Yes. Yet we don't see any commercial bank taking the fall with Alliance. So when the Prime Minister says they want to get to the bank officers who facilitate this or that, I need to see it. So I'm very heartened to hear him say that. But to me, until they do right by even Alliance, let's say, because Alliance couldn't have happened on its own.
And we understand that and know that. So I'm just referring to
But
the thing.
we've seen 2 people crucified. And those who would have been part of the enablement and the facilitation of their crimes have been out of the press. Harold Brown says, did he name politicians? No, he didn't name politicians early. Again, he only went to the workers, the policeman, the customs man, the bank officer. We're not interested in the bank officer.
Interested in the bank.
We're interested in the bank.
They have facilitated it. And I'm just reflecting on the digital literacy conversation that we had, that we closed with. And Professor
Golding,
yes, I don't call him son of the goal. He made a point. We never pushed it even further. But in terms of the digital system, and remember, he took by $1,000, I gave it to him. He said, when I give that to you and you take it back, I can't trace it. But when we use currency, you can track that right through the system to everybody. So probably that's why they're pushing that so they can track everybody. There's an upside to it and there's a downside to it in terms of tracking the money right through the system when you're on this platform, this digital currency platform. Whatever you pay, It just follow you through the system, tracking it. But my point with that, and I said the Prime Minister is being prophetic. You don't have to be a prophet to be prophetic, you know. You just speak some things and it begins to be manifested because in the atmosphere, life and death is in the power of your tongue. Go ahead.
I am tempted to add to what you said about not being a prophet to be prophetic. Prophecy in and of itself is speaking the words of God. God give you something to say. So the donkey was prophetic.
Yes, man.
But none would say
he was a prophet.
It was a prophet.
The prophet
So
was riding
yes,
on the donkey, but the donkey was the one that became
that spoke the words of
said-
God.
Yeah.
So to that point, and we're not by any means, calling our prime minister a donkey,
No.
but he has spoken prophetically
Yeah.
when he says they will bring down entire networks. And I'm sure that he's fortifying himself and he's preparing himself for it, because friends will fall and family members will fall, and it's wider, it's more far-reaching than he might be prepared for. And specifically on that point, a lot of things have been happening in the area of real estate development.
Yes.
And the prime minister, his family is involved in real estate development. Matters are before the court and so on. And you have to kind of ask yourself, are we prepared? Is he prepared for those matters running their due and lawful course? And as we watch to see how those things are dealt with in the so-called independent judiciary. I have to say so-called because the independence of the judiciary comes under such great pressure. When you are making decisions on matters that touch and concern the welfare and the business activities of the prime minister or the prime minister's wife, I am really curious to see which judge and how those judges are going to rule. Very curious to see it. It would be a good day for Jamaica when you see, it will be a good day when you see, I'm prophesying now, when you see judges having the boldness, the audacity.
Cahoons?
Well, it's mostly women, so I won't say cojones.
Hey, women have cojones. When a woman shows up, she really have it. Yeah, man.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, man. She have the cojones. You understand what we're
Yes,
talking
I do.
about.
Right.
Yeah, finish that point, because there's another point with the judiciary
man.
that I want to jump on.
Go ahead.
The Chief Justice, Brian Sykes, keeps pushing this thing of doing trials without jury. Careful, boss. Careful, boss. Careful, boss. Be very, very careful. He continues to have that position and he continues to speak it. Be careful, sir. Be careful, sir. Enough said.
Enough said indeed. But you see, we go back to the business of why we would seek to be bound by the strict language of something that was imposed on us when we have the freedom and the ability to make our own choices. Because what the Chief Justice is doing, there is a right to trial by jury in the Constitution. And he has been saying, though you have that right, it is not necessary for the attainment of justice. Now, as you say, careful, because when you begin to speak against things that were meant to be beneficial to the citizen, because trial by jury is how the public sentiment and the public ideals and the overall needs of society are expressed in the administration of justice. We will set a man free that the policeman thinks should be behind bars, because we as the body politic do not believe that that behavior under those circumstances should be criminalized. Remember, man born free. And it is only the things that we say are unacceptable that curtails that freedom. The Chief Justice is prone to propose solutions that are convenient to the judiciary.
Mhm.
That is my summation of almost every time he speaks, he is seeking to achieve greater efficiency. Efficiency is not a part of justice,
Effectiveness.
Timeliness and effectiveness, yes. But justice is not there running the numbers to say, I would get a better value for the money I spend maintaining the system and paying staff and so on and so forth if something happened in 2 minutes rather than in 5.
True.
If 5 minutes is what gives the citizen and the system the best result, then 5 minutes it is. Efficiency is a numbers game. What do you say? 'Cause
It
I
is.
know you.
Yeah, you have to be. The thing is to ensure that you're being effective and efficient at the same time. And so there is a trade off that will happen time. But the most important thing is effectiveness. Because I've been in systems that have been efficient, but they're not effective because they're not achieving what you set out for the system to do.
Yes. And most of it has to do with human relationships, how people feel and what the experience they have when they interact with the system. And that's not something that can be run by the numbers. If you know anything about time management controls and practices, you will know that there is a move to sort of create an average time for the disposition of certain tasks. In the call center environment, you are guarding the time to say each person that your agent talks to should be well taken care of within, say, 5 minutes. So you are training your staff members to get to the heart of the matter within a certain minimum period of time because you want your agents to be able to handle 100 customers per day instead of 50.
True.
So you begin to look at the time they're spending. But there is always going to be the one or two customer who requires
Or the
10
outliers,
minutes.
Or the outliers.
And it's good business. If you can get them settled, you get good business from them way above the average uptake from an individual customer. And you're going to have one customer who does their business in 2 minutes. So you can't be guided strictly by the numbers. And I've found that the Chief Justice, when he speaks and when you hear him the way he expresses himself, he is into
Management.
some hard, cold things which have nothing to do with the quality of justice or the service that that people receive and how they interact with the justice system. So yes, your caution is well expressed to this particular Chief Justice. I like when they speak, because when they keep quiet, you don't know what they're doing. But when they speak, you're able to take a measure of the person's integrity, their thought process, and you can make your own judgment as to whether they will be a remarkable addition to the public service or not.
And the other thing that he needs to be doing, a lot of people have contended over time that in terms of the justice system, there are things that can be done more efficiently. I don't know if that's one of his main concerns, but you need money behind of it. And the question is, how much money is the government putting into the justice system to make it more equitable in terms of the person? More people are saying, oh, if I go to court, it will be dealt with, and I'm not going to wait 2, 3, 4 years. You spoke earlier about some of the things that are generational, even in terms of violence against each other, like somebody got shot and somebody can't catch quack or catch shirt.
Yeah,
and
man,
that
retribution.
continuation, yeah, and so those are all of the things that we have to take into consideration. But we pause to say hello to and to wish happy birthday to a gentleman that I met, who we've played a couple of his songs, who has relations to our producer engineer today.
Yes, so that's my job now. That's my cue.
Yes.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Choo choo.
Happy birthday, Congo Billy. Happy birthday to you. The real singer is warming up her pipes in the background.
But happy
I'm the
birthday.
stand-in. Happy birthday to my brother-in-law, big brother to Lowell, one and only brother to Lowell. I know it's your earth strong. Continue to walk and to contribute in the excellent way that you do. During this month of celebrating Rasta, I beg Billy to come and play some music.
Wanna play
He is
some-
Congo Billy because he is a master performer on the drums.
And the Congo drum.
All drums.
All drums. So he plays the other one too. With
the sticks.
Yeah. He plays that one too.
I don't know actually. I just say all drums. Not just Congo. You have different.
I know the different
types.
Kemba
right.
and all of them
Yeah.
things. Yeah, but
Right.
really
The ones that you touch and with the hand, I know.
the
You
Congo
just- all of
drums.
those, right.
So may
So-
may blessings and favor follow you, my brother.
Follow back at you.
And
And
your
overtake
earthquake,
you.
and the goodness of God be a reality in your life in 2022.
And beyond.
And
'cause
yes, as you move into
we're
this new
taking it
phase
right
of
up
your
to the
life,
next- right up to the next birthday.
and may the latter days of your life be even greater than the former years. May you see the favor and blessing of God in all areas that you touch. Increase, and favor. I declare over you.
Amen.
on.
Producer, did you want to sing verse 2 of the happy birthdays? All right. So yes, we've done our duty and happy to do it. Billy was one of the early listeners, to the program, and he did share the word, and quite a lot of I'm going to say people from the old neighborhood have tuned in and are loving the show and the work that we're doing here. So we wish you well for your birthday, but we also thank you very much for just kind of supporting what we're
Us.
doing.
But
Yeah.
I in terms of Toronto, I'm just trying to figure out Toronto's age. I'm looking at him, and I'm just
All right, Conrad, put your age on the chat. Look, it is perplexing, Pastor.
because our international correspondent,
He's in his 40s.
has information and bit of the history that a lot of us have just taken for granted. Some of us know it, some of us have walked through it and experienced it. But as an international,
He reads.
he reads and he
Studies history and he keeps
understand.
himself informed,
Yes.
which is an excellent thing. And it is what all Jamaicans need to practice. Be relentless in our search for knowledge and information. And then the thing now that is one always has to be careful of, do not just consume other people's opinion and regurgitate it at will. Seek to understand and shape your own views, giving it the peculiar interpretation and understanding that is born out of your experience, your spirit, and your sentiments. That is how we change the world. If we just copy other people's views and go around doing what other people did, there would be nothing unique and fresh and exciting. But when we internalize it and reinterpret it in accordance with our own the vision that we have, then sparks. That's why, although we say there's nothing new under the sun, still we are delighted daily by all kinds of things that appear to be new. They are just reinterpretation of existing things, but so pleasingly done that for a moment our senses are confused.
Yeah. And as we're moving towards a break, you raised a concern yesterday.
He's 42 years old.
Yes. You raised a concern yesterday in terms of the Minister of Finance and the end of the duty concession. And as we said, the president of the teachers says he learned about it in the media. Why we do that? And it's interesting because they have just recently settled negotiations with the government.
It's just dishonest.
Yeah, man.
Lack
Can't
of
better than-
integrity.
Yes.
Should be no secret on some of these matters.
No, man. No, sir. And I'm very, is it disappointed in our finance minister because I know he comes from a certain ilk. And if you go to a negotiating table, bring everything on the table that we can talk about it. And we know what is there, what are the issues are. But then, having just gotten them to sign off on
a package.
yes.
That
And
was that they weren't happy
happy
about.
Yeah. And then you throw this into the mix and say, oh, by the way, this is going to happen soon.
But let me tell you, early in the day, I said something on this program for which you chastised me and said I was being unkind. I'm not going to say it as I did then because I am chastened. But I did say he lacks the maturity to address this portfolio. And by maturity, I don't mean anything to do with his academic accomplishments.
No, no,
He
no.
is Dr. Nigel Clark.
Not
But
at all.
he has not had either the life experiences or the spiritual sensitivity to do right by the people of Jamaica. He doesn't have it. And I could make the same comment of a man twice his age, because such matters have nothing to do with chronological age.
No, it's maturity.
It is a question of maturity, and he lacks it. And I don't believe, rather than achieving it through his current experiences, he seems to be emboldened by the adulation and the false reception that he's getting in Parliament. You know, when he says something and everybody clap and carry on, he thinks that that is signaling to him that he's on the right path. And as a consequence, he's not maturing. He's like he's regressing. Every next step is retrograde, because this business of making these kind of changes in the way that he has gone about doing it, and it is disingenuous to be speaking as he has on some of these matters. Not a good sign.
You know, I knew that he was in trouble when before we...
Well, we're going to be in trouble with the engineer who has given us the break signal. Wow, somehow we've made it to 8 o'clock. Let's take our break. This is the Morning Connection.
When they come back, I want to comment on the comment I was making.
Yeah, I want you to shape it
BBC News. Hello, this is Jerry Smith. President Vladimir Putin has described Russia's military objectives in Ukraine as noble. It comes 6 weeks after he launched an invasion in which large numbers of civilians have been killed. Jenny Hill is in Moscow.
During a visit to Russia's space centre in the country's Far East, Mr. Putin sought to frame his invasion of Ukraine as another cause for national pride. His soldiers, he said, were courageous and would achieve what he described as their noble objective. Mr. Putin was accompanied by the smiling Belarusian leader Alexander Lukashenko, whose country has assisted Russian troops and which, along with Russia, is under severe Western sanctions. But as the leaders stood in front of a large Russian space rocket, Mr. Putin was defiant, telling workers in overalls that it would be impossible to isolate his country and that Russia would simply develop its own technologies and skills. The Soviet Union had been sanctioned, he said, but still, he insisted, we put the first man into space.
Ukraine and Russia are building up their military forces in Donbass as Moscow switches the focus of its offensive. A senior Ukrainian official in the area told the BBC Russia was sending in new